There's also Derek Carr, Mike Florio, and walk again everybody through the time frame here and the pressure points. There's a huge pressure point coming, not next week, but the week after, right after the Super Bowl. This, new league year doesn't usually begin until middle of March, and that's the same thing this year. But this is going to have to play out almost right away as soon as the confetti gets picked up in Arizona. Walk me through the Derek Carr situation as it currently stands, please, if you don't mind.
Before I do that, let me just add a quick PS
Yes,
to
sir.
the Aaron Rodgers situation.
Yes.
I'm sure you've discussed this, but I don't think Rodgers retires this year because the last thing he wants to be is bottom of the marquee, special guest Aaron Rodgers on Tom Brady Hall of Fame weekend. August of 2028.
We discussed
I guarantee
this.
you he doesn't want that.
Yeah.
That's the role that's been thrust onto J.J. Watt, unfortunately. But I don't think anybody with that level of achievement wants to be second fiddle to Tom Brady, and that's what Rodgers would be. So I think he keeps playing it for no reason other than that. That's the reason. Now, as for Carr,
by the way, just real quick before you get to Carr, if I'm J.J. Watt, this is awesome, right? I mean, if I'm a GOAT defender, defensive pass rusher, why wouldn't you want to go in with Brady? Your family hangs with the Brady and the families hang together. I mean, like that would be, if you're a quarterback though, who wears the same number, that's a different story, like that.
I can see the whole GOAT by association with Brady, but still, Watt would have been big letters, top of the stack.
Sure.
It's his weekend.
Yeah.
And now it's Brady with special guest. I mean, anybody else is Robin to Brady's Batman in 2028.
Yeah, that's true.
And I guess Rodgers would be the Joker if he decides to retire, which makes me think he's just not. He's just not going to do it. He'll play another year, and I think he has $60 million.
I know.
For one more year of football. How do you say no to that? Apart from any of the vanity-based, I don't want to be, the sidekick to Tom Brady on Hall of Fame weekend. But Carr, who doesn't have to worry about those issues, frankly, his catching a stray, but his situation is very simple. He did a contract last year that results in $40.4 million in compensation this year and part of next year, fully guaranteed if he's on the roster on Wednesday, February 15, the third day of the waiver period. So the only way the Raiders avoid owing him that money is to cut him before then. They could work out a trade, but the trade doesn't become official until the middle of March. And until then, you're running the risk of someone doing to Josh McDaniels what Josh McDaniels did to the Colts 5 years ago. In other words, waking up one day and saying,
See ya.
You know what, we don't want to do it. And there's no consequence. If a team would work out a trade for Derek Carr before the money vests, then the guarantees kick in. The Raiders are on the hook. Oh, but we're going to trade him to whoever, and then whoever says, and the perfect irony would be if it was the Colts, whoever says, sorry, we're not going to do it. So that's a big part of the risk, assuming they can even work out a trade. And, Rich, I don't think they're going to be able to work out a trade because Carr holds all the cards here. And he said last night he's not going to extend the deadline.
Right.
They've refused to let him work out his own deal. This clock is ticking toward February 15, Rich, and I think that at some point before then, Carr's going to make it clear to the Raiders he's not playing along. They either have to keep him and pay him or they have to cut him. Those are the two choices, and it's up to them.
So if he's cut, and then can he sign with the team on the spot, right? I mean, does he have to wait for the new league year? It just becomes official at that point? His free agency period and the quarterback carousel on Derek Carr spins right away on February 15th, 16th? Is that what works?
He gets a 1-month head start.
Wow.
Think about that.
Why wouldn't you want that?
In that?
Why wouldn't you want that? Of course. That's why you say cut me. I'm not extending.
I saw someone suggest that it looks better for him if he's traded than if he's cut. Like
Why?
It saves face if he's traded. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Are you how petty can you be that you're going to cut off your nose to spite your face? His best play is to get cut. And look at it this way, Rich. Let's say there's a team out there that would take on the $40.4 million, which really, when you consider the salary cap in the quarterback market, that's not like some completely ridiculous amount. Over all of this year, like $32 million and change this year and $8 million next year, that's not well, we can't do it because that's what quarterbacks make now. But if there's a team that's willing to do it and willing to give the Raiders real value in exchange for Carr's going to get more than that amount if he's on the open market because it's a sliding scale. It's a balance when you trade for somebody. How much do we have to pay and how much do we have to give up? And the less we have to give up by way of draft pick compensation, the more we're able to pay. The more we have to pay, the less we want to give up. So if you have to give up nothing to get the guy, and you're already willing to guarantee $40.4 million, you put him on the open market, and he works multiple different teams, he's presumably going to do better than $40.4 million. So if there is, any type of a bad look that comes from him being cut, his agent should be able to work the channels here and end up with an outcome where people say, oh, hey, he did even better than he was supposed to do. So there's no reason under the sun for Derek Carr to do anything other than say, pay me or cut me. Those are your options. I'm not agreeing to waive my no-trade clause. You want me out, I want out. I'm taking charge of this process. And I think he's eventually going to do it. We're just kind of creeping up to that point.
Cutting him, does that leave dead cap for the Raiders as opposed to just clearing his salary off their books of the trade? I mean, why wouldn't he do that too, right? On top of it, I'd imagine, if that is the case. Just create a footprint in there.
I'd have to look and see what the cap hit is. It's nothing that's crippling for the Raiders. They didn't give him a huge signing bonus last year. That's the issue. The signing bonus would accelerate. They're not worried about dead cap money. With Mark Davis, who is not one of the cash-rich owners, the issue is committing $40 million plus to a guy that you're done with. And the biggest clue that they're going to cut him if they don't have a clear trade deal that they can trust in place by February 15 is when they benched him with 2 games left. They weren't mathematically eliminated. The goal then was to ensure he doesn't have an injury that prevents him from passing a physical before February 15, because that money is injury guaranteed for now. If he would have gotten injured the final 2 weeks of the regular season, they can't cut him before February 15 without owing him that money.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.